Witness the Park MGM Casino here in the heart of Las Vegas, and in its shadow, Eataly, a so-called food court that has become a ground zero for financial assault. A staggering $82 for two pathetic slices of pizza and two Cokes. Just imagine it. You're trapped on the Las Vegas Strip, the neon glare a mockery of the darkness descending on your wallet. You attempt to have what should be a basic meal, a burger, some fries, perhaps a drink, only to watch in horror as the price spirals into absurdity right before your very eyes. A $26 burger, $14 fries, and $8 soda. But the ambush doesn't stop there. They slap you with a kitchen appreciation fee, a wellness surcharge, and a phantom service charge you never consented to. Your $60 lunch has just been hijacked, now costing a sickening $90 before you've even considered a tip. Families are left gaping at their receipts, their vacation budgets shattered. Tourists can only mutter in disgust, never again. As for the locals, they've abandoned the Strip entirely. By 2025, dining in Vegas is no longer a luxury. It's a grueling ordeal. Today, we're exposing the 6 catastrophic reasons why eating out here has become an impossible nightmare. And believe me, what you'll hear for reason number 2 will utterly disgust even the most devoted Vegas veterans. Reason 1, the price gouging pandemic. Las Vegas forged its entire mythos on making the average person feel like royalty. For generations, the food was central to that illusion. $9.99 prime rib extravaganzas, buffets overflowing for less than $20, shrimp cocktails that cost a single dollar, and those glorious cheap steak and egg breakfasts at 3 in the morning. You could gamble, catch a show, and still feast like a king at midnight. But that Las Vegas is dead and buried. In 2025, the sticker shock attacks you the moment you glance at a menu. A simple Caesar salad at a run-of-the-mill strip restaurant will bleed you for $24. A burger costing mere pennies to prepare appears on the bill as an audacious $32. A single solitary cocktail, $28. And that's before the onslaught of taxes and surcharges. And let's be clear, these aren't the creations of celebrity chefs. These are the most basic menu items in casual joints you'd expect to be at the very least reasonable. But the Bureau of Labor Statistics confirms the horror story. Restaurant prices in Las Vegas have skyrocketed by more than 40% since 2020, nearly double the national rate of inflation. A lunch that was $15 a few years ago now extorts around $35 from your pocket. That romantic dinner for two, once an affordable $50, can now easily breach $120 before you even order a drink. What makes this pill even more bitter to swallow is that Vegas offers zero increase in quality to justify this insanity. In New York or San Francisco, you might be paying a fortune, but you're getting world-class culinary art in return. In Las Vegas, countless visitors report feeling like they're paying Manhattan prices for what amounts to glorified hotel convention food. As one furious longtime visitor from New Zealand declared, they've outright canceled their 2026 trip because the sheer greed no longer makes any sense. 2 full weeks in Japan, airfare and a cruise included, cost them less than 4 agonizing days on the Strip. This is the grim new reality on Las Vegas Boulevard. The city that once promised you could live beyond your means now forces you to agonize over your budget before the appetizer has even arrived. And when you're forced to second guess the cost of a simple lunch, you begin to question the sanity of the entire trip. Reason 2, the fee infestation. If the menu prices didn't already decimate your budget, just wait for the bill to crash down on your table. Welcome to the racket locals have dubbed the fee explosion, the Strip's insidious new profit machine. For decades, Vegas menus were straightforward. The price listed was the price you paid, plus tax and a tip you chose to give. Now the menu is just the bait, and the bill is the devastating switch. You'll be ambushed by automatic gratuities of 18 to 22% for any party size, kitchen appreciation surcharges of 5%, bogus wellness fees, and inexplicable service recovery charges. They even have the audacity to add entertainment fees at restaurants with absolutely no entertainment. One outraged diner was hit with a $4.99 per person show charge, when the only show was a muted television above the bar. And this plague isn't confined to upscale dining rooms. Fast casual chains and the food courts inside major resorts are now deploying the same predatory hidden extras. A local resident laid out the grim math. A $14 burger metastasized into a $36 catastrophe once all the parasitic fees were tacked on. And that was before even thinking about a tip. Each line item is designed to look small and insignificant. A few dollars here, a couple of percent there, but these deceptive charges conspire to inflate your bill by 20, 30, or even an outrageous 40%. The psychological damage is profound. Travelers don't just feel cheated, they feel violated. They don't just lose faith in a single restaurant, they lose all trust in the city itself. It's one thing to willingly splurge on a memorable dinner. It's something else entirely to feel like you've been mugged over a sandwich. This catastrophic erosion of trust is inflicting far more damage on Vegas than any single overpriced cocktail ever could. The hospitality industry cloaks these tactics in corporate jargon, like revenue optimization strategies. Visitors have a simpler, more honest word for it: scams. Social media is now a graveyard of receipts, with tourists posting pictures of bizarre charges that no one can justify. And let this be a warning. When your visitors are photographing their bills in outrage instead of their beautifully plated meals, you don't have a pricing problem. You have a full-blown brand crisis. This insidious fee stacking is a dagger to the heart of spontaneity. In the Vegas of old, you could dive into a restaurant on a whim, certain the final bill wouldn't be a horrifying ambush. Now you see people hunched over menus with calculators, the magic utterly shattered, or they just give up on the experience entirely. That corrosive hesitation spreads like a plague across the Strip. Fewer meals are bought, fewer drinks are dared to be ordered, and there are tragically fewer chances for Vegas to win back its disenchanted guests at the slots or the shows. If this brutal breakdown is opening your eyes, take a moment to obliterate that like button and subscribe. Your support is critical in helping us continue these deep dives into the real, rotting core of Vegas. We've still got 4 more devastating reasons to expose, including a hidden cost that ambushes most tourists when it's far too late. And if you've been a victim of these insane restaurant bills on the Strip, unleash the horrifying details in the comments. We are compiling a dossier of these stories for an upcoming expose. Now, let's return to the grim countdown with reason number 3. Reason 3, shrinkflation, the silent thief, has conquered the Strip. Vegas once stood as a glorious monument to excess. We're talking giant steaks that spilled over the plate, buffets so obscenely loaded you couldn't even see the tray beneath the mountain of food. Margaritas were served in glasses as big as your head. That magnificent, over-the-top presentation wasn't just a meal. It was the grand opening act. But fast forward to the grim reality of 2025, and the entire spectacle has been tragically gutted. The industry's own data paints a sickening picture. Average entree sizes on the Strip have plummeted by more than 20% since 2019, while prices have criminally surged by roughly 45%. Let that sink in. You are paying astronomically more for disgracefully less on your plate. A $35 burger now arrives with a patty thinner and more pathetic than a fast food quarter pounder. Celebrity chef pasta dishes are served in bowls that are scandalously barely half full. Even the buffets, once sacred temples of abundance, now rotate fewer items and let the serving stations sit barren for longer, leaving trays pathetically half empty during what should be prime dining hours. And visitors are noticing this blatant deception. Ryan, a once frequent Vegas loyalist, delivered the final verdict after his last trip. Unless I hit the Powerball, I won't be back. He detailed a daily onslaught of $16 coffee and croissant combos, a shocking $22 for a single slice of pizza and a beer for lunch, and a watered-down $24 margarita served in a cheap plastic cup. That is not indulgence. That is calculated rationing at extortionate prices. This goes far beyond mere portion size. It's an assault on the very experience Vegas was built upon. This city sold the world a dream of glorious abundance you couldn't get back home. Food was a spectacle, drinks a performance. But when guests leave feeling hungry and utterly ripped off after spending $100, they don't just question the restaurant. They question why they ever made the catastrophic mistake of coming to Las Vegas in the first place. Shrinkflation strikes even harder because it's a stealth attack, invisible until you've already paid the price. The menu gives no warning of the insultingly tiny portion coming your way. This erodes trust in exactly the same insidious way hidden fees do. You feel completely tricked. And when you feel tricked, you don't dare order dessert. You don't come back the next year, and you go online to warn all of your friends about the scam. In short, shrinkflation is systematically stripping Vegas of one of its most powerful weapons, the feeling of getting more than you paid for. And without that, the Strip is just another grotesquely overpriced tourist corridor, now competing with cities that can actually deliver quality. This leads us to reason 4, the deliberate execution of the loss leader. For decades, Las Vegas restaurants weren't even designed to make money. No, they were designed for a far more cunning purpose: to keep you trapped in the building. The cheap prime rib, the bottomless shrimp cocktails, the $5 cocktails right at the tables. These were not happy accidents. They were a brilliant marketing tactic, a weapon known as the loss leader. The casinos would gladly lose money on food and drink to win it all back and much more at the slot machines and blackjack tables. That masterful strategy created a perfect feedback loop of pure indulgence. You never minded losing a little on the tables because your meals felt like an unbelievable bargain. Even visitors who were completely wiped out gambling still felt like they'd somehow won, thanks to the generous portions, the impossibly low prices, and the endless free drinks. But the very ownership model of Vegas has rotted from within. The days of the mob and the family business mentality are a distant, faded memory. Today, faceless corporate boards and ruthless private equity firms run the entire show. And every single department is now expected to stand on its own and bleed customers dry. Food and beverage are no longer loss leaders, they are now designated profit centers. The prime rib special that once lured you through the door, gone. The $9.99 buffet, it's been replaced by a $49 version with half the variety. And complimentary drinks while you gamble? Now it's a $26 cocktail with a mandatory service fee ruthlessly tacked on. This cold new math is a death sentence for the city's signature experience. When every single item on the Strip is priced at its absolute maximum profit margin, nothing feels like a perk anymore. And when nothing feels like a perk, Vegas loses its entire competitive edge over a dozen other expensive destinations. Why in God's name would you gamble in Las Vegas if you can get the same predatory prices with vastly better food and far less hassle in Miami, Nashville, or Tokyo? Even the locals can feel the poison spreading. Longtime employees will warn you that this shift didn't just raise prices. The very culture has been corrupted. Servers, once empowered to reward loyalty, are now just cogs in a machine. Managers no longer view a meal as an investment in a relationship. They see you as a quarterly revenue target. The entire engine of hospitality, once fueled by loyalty, now runs on the toxic fumes of short-term gains. This death of the loss leader is far more than a cold accounting decision. It is a profound psychological betrayal. It's a flashing neon sign that screams to every guest that Vegas no longer cares about making you feel special. It's about ruthlessly extracting every last dollar from every single transaction. And that is a poison pill for a city built on the very promise of fantasy and escape. Reason 5. Fast food is now a cruel joke, neither fast nor cheap. There was a time, a not so distant memory, when even if the Strip's opulent steakhouses were beyond your reach, you had a safety valve. It was called fast food. McDonald's, Taco Bell, a simple slice of pizza in a hotel food court, they were cheap, predictable, and quick. A family on a budget could actually feed everyone without taking out a second mortgage. That safety net has been viciously torn away. In 2025, fast food on the Strip now costs more than a casual sit-down dinner in most American cities. A single basic cheeseburger at a Strip Burger King will set you back $7 for the sandwich alone. A double cheeseburger, $9. A large pizza from a chain, a staggering $30. A Starbucks drink, over $20. And for what? Let me be crystal clear. These aren't the prices of some celebrity chef's masterpiece. This is the highway robbery of a chain restaurant planted in a tourist hellscape. One that's decided every single captive soul is a high roller to be bled dry. Their excuse? They'll cry about exorbitant real estate costs, skyrocketing labor expenses, and cold, calculated corporate policy shifts. Resorts and mall operators charge extortionate rents, and the chains simply pass the pain directly onto you. Tourists, trapped inside these mega resorts, pay the insane markup because leaving the property is a nightmare of time and hassle. And when every single option feels like a ripoff, even the cheap choice begins to feel like a calculated scam. The entire illusion of affordable options has simply vanished. Visitors who once budgeted a reasonable $30 for lunch now find themselves hemorrhaging $60 for the exact same meal. Locals who once grabbed a quick bite on the strip now flee to suburban Henderson or Summerlin instead. Even the brands that once represented comfort and affordability have been dragged into this predatory ecosystem of sticker shock. And the fallout is infinitely larger than the price of a burger. When families can find no financial relief, even at the lowest end, they are forced to change their behavior at the high end. They cut trips short, they skip the shows, and critically, they gamble less. That catastrophic ripple effect undermines the entire Las Vegas experience because for most visitors, the ability to promise, sure, splurge at the tables, at least lunch won't break you. Without that, the city feels like a soulless theme park where every exit funnels you into another overpriced gift shop. And that is not the fantasy people came here to find. Reason 6, the great walking away. The strip still glows with a deceptive brilliance at night. The fountains still dance, the marquees still flash their empty promises of indulgence. But the chilling truth is, fewer and fewer people are buying the lie. After years of insidious price hikes and hidden fees and shrinking portions, both tourists and locals are delivering their final verdict by voting with their feet. The great walking away has begun. Travel surveys are now confirming this exodus with cold, hard numbers. Restaurant reservations have plummeted by over 30%. Buffet traffic is in a state of total collapse. And even long-running institutions are reporting their first revenue declines in decades. The reasons for this catastrophe aren't hard to find. Visitors who once loved the thrill of splurging in Vegas now feel systematically nickel and dimed at every conceivable turn. Locals, the very lifeblood who propped up the city's restaurants, now drive to neighboring towns or simply eat at home, refusing to be fleeced any longer. Behind closed doors, some hotels are admitting a terrifying truth. Their midweek casino floors are ghost towns, emptier than they've been in years. When dining becomes a luxury, the entire Vegas experience becomes an unaffordable mirage. And in the unforgiving age of TikTok and Reddit, one single outrageous bill can ignite a viral firestorm overnight. A $180 cocktail, a deceptive hidden surcharge, suddenly becomes a million-view post. A blazing red flag warning future visitors to stay far away. Vegas built its empire on word of mouth, on social proof. Now, that same megaphone is being used as a weapon, blasting its greed to the entire world. The city that once hid behind "what happens here stays here" has become the poster child for "what happens here trends everywhere." This catastrophic erosion of trust doesn't just poison the restaurants. When travelers feel scammed over something as simple as lunch, they begin to question everything. The hotel, the show tickets, even the integrity of the gambling floor. The sacred psychological contract that powered Las Vegas for decades, the promise of "come here, spend money," is shattering. The promise of feeling like royalty is shattered. And here lies the catastrophic danger. This is not merely a few disgruntled tourists. This is a collective, seismic shift in behavior. Social media pours gasoline on this fire. Scathing reviews echo the outrage, and its rivals are feasting on the fallout. Orlando, Miami, Tokyo, Monaco, all now appear infinitely more alluring because they deliver opulence without the bitter aftertaste of being conned. Even the highest rollers have other oceans to swim in. If Vegas cannot resurrect trust, it risks becoming a grim cautionary tale. The city that cannibalized its own mythology for profit. The lights will still burn bright, but without the soul of generosity and indulgence to give them meaning, they're just expensive, hollow bulbs in a vast desert. Until that narrative is rewritten, the Great Exodus will continue its relentless march, one betrayed visitor at a time. Las Vegas was forged on a sacred, simple promise that ordinary people could taste extraordinary decadence, even if just for one fleeting weekend. Unbelievably cheap prime rib, drinks that flowed like water, and buffets that stretched to the horizon. The Strip felt like a reward you could find nowhere else on Earth. But the 6 devastating truths we've just exposed reveal just how far the city has catastrophically drifted from that identity. The gut punch of sticker shock, the parasitic hidden fees, the insult of shrinking portions, the cold-blooded execution of loss leaders, grotesquely overpriced fast food, and the final damning verdict, the great walking away. Together. They paint a terrifying picture of a destination that has twisted hospitality into a predatory game of extraction. And the stakes are infinitely bigger than one overpriced burger. When trust evaporates, when visitors feel ambushed and hunted at every turn, the entire Vegas ecosystem, its hotels, shows, gaming, conventions, begins to violently tremble. The Strip still glows, but the legend that once powered those lights is sputtering and dying. But it does not have to end in this ruin. If the leaders of Vegas can pull themselves back from the brink, resurrect some of those legendary loss leaders, and amputate the hidden fees, if they can restore a genuine sense of value, they could reignite the very magic that made the city a global phenomenon. But until that day of reckoning, visitors and locals alike will continue to vote with their feet, fleeing to other havens where luxury still feels like a glorious treat instead of a cleverly disguised trap. So, what's your verdict? Is Vegas just battling normal inflation, or has it committed the ultimate betrayal and fundamentally broken the sacred pact with its guests? Have you been financially ambushed by a bill on the Strip? Unleash your war stories in the comments. We are reading every last one. And if this critical breakdown armed you with the truth, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next harrowing deep dive. We have even more explosive behind-the-scenes exposés on the hidden grift of America's biggest destinations coming for you.